Hi friends, welcome to episode 81 of the Quirky Monday Craftcast. My name is Kalisha and you can find me anywhere online as Nadira Tani. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Today is Tuesday, April, 15th or 16th, somewhere around there. And I'm coming to you from my home in Central Florida. So if you're a new viewer, welcome. I hope you enjoy what you see. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. So thanks for coming to hang out with me for a little bit today. So let's get into the craftiness, shall we? Today, I have a couple finished objects. I have some finished mending, which is not the mending you're thinking if you are a returning viewer. You know that there was a project I'm supposed to be fixing. Haven't fixed that yet. Still a little scared. But as far as the finished objects that I have for you right now, the first is this dress. This is one of those dress kits that I got from Joann's, a few months ago, maybe in the winter or fall of 2018. But essentially what Joann's had done is they had gotten this knit fabric and they pre-cut the dress pieces. So you have a front, a back, and then strips for facings. And all you have to do is sew it together. So I've made a gray one previously, and then I purchased this one, but this was a size large. I think I was a size smaller medium in like the actual pattern. I think I was supposed to be a small, but they clearanced them out, so I got this one and it was a large. So I was like, it's fine, I'll just trim it down. That's what I do. So I really like how it came out. I do need to adjust the sleeve or the armholes because they are a bit low. So I think I'm just going to pull them up maybe 1.5 inches just to, not have any peekabra situation happening. But I really love this type of dress. It's just, I guess, an A-line shift dress, I think is what you would call it. Super simple. Nothing special. I didn't even do a hem on the bottom of it because it's knit fabric. It's not going to fray. I'm just going to wear it as it is. I'm going to come back to talking about this dress later on in the podcast because I'm going to be telling you about how I got started making it. So, finished object number 1. Finished object number 2 is the work in progress I had from last week. This is the medium size of my Orion slouch hat pattern that I released last week. Did I release it last week? Yes, last week. It is a free pattern. It's up on Ravelry. So if you like wearing hats that are like slouchy, almost tam style beanies, this is definitely one for you. And I made it because before I lived in Florida, I lived in Alabama, and Alabama actually has seasons. So in the winter, I would wear these like really thick hats and like tuck my hair up under them. At the time I was doing this, did I have locks then? I think I had locks when I started making those hats. And then I picked my hair out, so I just had my loose afro hair. But through all of those hairstyles, the big, like, tam style beanies would fit my hair. So then I moved to Florida, and it's a bazillion degrees here, like all the time. And those hats were not going to cut it. So I designed this, and there's still a tail. We're not surprised. I designed this. It is a mesh. The entire body is mesh, so that it allows breeze to get through it so I don't overheat, but it still gives me the comfort and flexibility of being able to get all of my hair up in a way that I don't look like a mushroom. So this is the medium size. The hat does come in 3 different sizes, small, medium, and large. And it's very easy to modify should you need a bigger or smaller hat. Like I said, free pattern, available on Ravelry. There's a link to my pattern store in the down bar. There you go. And yes, I am going to have to make a ton more of these because the whole collection that I have right now are in my small size, which they don't fit my hair anymore. Plus the small was a little bit tight on my head. The medium fits much better. So I'm going to be going through all of my like acrylic yarn stash, pulling out colors so that I can have like a rainbow of Orion hats that actually fit me again. So yes. The next finished object I have is the mending that I mentioned. So my husband is a teacher, and along with being a teacher, he also coaches girls basketball and girls volleyball. So he's like always like walking around, moving around, doing stuff. So he wears out his pants a lot. So he brought these pants to me and there was a seam popped. So he was like, "Can you sew this back up?" Yes, I can. Now, I am notorious for saying, yeah, I can fix that, and it'd be something super simple like a seam popped, just fix the hole, and I will totally forget about it. He asked me to fix these last week and I'm just now doing it today. So these have been like sitting staring at me and I kept forgetting for like half a week, which is actually not bad in Kalisha land. I'll tell you more about that in a second. But it was this seam here that goes up the back of the pants, and it had just worn out. Can you guys hear that loud bug? It's like really aggressive. Can you not? Shh. We'll just call those ambient Florida sounds. So hopefully it's not too irritating. But anyway, it was the seam in the back of the pants that had like broke a little bit. And it looks like I've actually repaired these before, like in a different portion of that seam. But yeah, it's just, I just have to sew right in there. Nothing fancy, nothing really to write home about, but now his pants are good as new. Now back to that thing I mentioned about them sitting for half a week isn't really that bad in Kalisha land. So Lamar had gone shopping probably more than a year ago now and bought 2 or 3 new suits, so like suit jackets and suit pants. And because he bought them from like an actual suit store, the pant legs come unfinished. There's no hems in them or anything like that. So what you're supposed to do is buy the suits and get them altered to your height, right? He goes, "Oh, Kalish, you can do that, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can put a hem in pants, no problem. I can take in the waistband if you need to, no problem." They've been sitting and waiting for me to get it together and do this for over a year. So when I finish filming this, I'm going to take these pants, which fit him in the waist and the length, and I am going to get on doing the alterations on those other pants so that I can stop being a shameful wife. And that's everything that I have for finished objects. So we'll go on into works in progress. And I have 2 works in progress. Where's the first one? Here it is. This is living in my project bag that I got from Ash Love Makes. My little sheepy. It's sheeps. Sheeps. And this is a vanilla sock. Oh, hello. This is a vanilla sock that I am making using yarn that was given to me by my friend Jennifer, who is also known as Yarn Tripping on the internet. And what's the name of this yarn? Where are you? Name of this yarn. I don't know. Oh, here it is. Man on the Moon. So this is 3 Irish Girls yarn on the Adorn Luxe base in the Man on the Moon colorway. And it's starting to like line up. So I think, I don't know why, but my gauge changed between here and here. I don't know. Oh, and you can see it too. This is definitely looser than this. So I don't know what was going on, but whatevs. So I have 2 like 25-ish gram balls of this that Jennifer gave me. So what I'm going to do, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before, I'm just going to knit a full tube out of the Man on the Moon. Then I'm going to use contrast yarn to do the toes and heels, do like the afterthought heel, and that'll be that. I really like how this is knitting up. It's making me really happy. So thank you so much, Jen. I do enjoy this. And because the yarn goes like white and then rainbow, and all the rainbow happens really quick and then goes back to white, it's almost like a self-striping yarn in a way, where you're just like, I want to get to the next rainbow spot. I just want to get to the next rainbow spot. So that's been fun. So that's a work in progress. And the other work in progress I have is some spinning. Yes, I finally took out my spindle and put some fiber on it and started spinning. I'm actually spinning these rollags that I created, and these are these are made from the fiber that I have in my mermaid lock. So that's where this is how much yarn, or not how much yarn, this is how much fiber I pulled out when I was like, oh, I'm gonna wrap yarn like fiber around my lock. Why did I pull out this much? I'm terrible at estimating, just garbage. But there they are. I am spinning them like alternating like this, end to end. And I have spun 2 rollags onto here already. So this is about look at how thick and thin that is. I've definitely put, I think, too much spin into this single, but that's okay. And I'm still learning, and we're just gonna keep going, because I feel like with this project, well, not even with just this project, but with a lot of my projects, if I start to nitpick myself too much about like getting it perfect, then it will never get done. So, and I really want to see what this yarn is going to look like when I ply it, or if I ply it. I haven't gotten that far in the decision-making process. So, spinning these 2 rollags, I don't know how long it took me. Definitely less than an hour. The most difficult part about it was, let's show you on this one. The most difficult part about it was spinning this fiber, because this is some sort of alpaca, and you can really feel the difference between drafting this and drafting this down here, which is wool. The one in the middle is more of a crinkly wool. Is crinkly the word I want to use? I don't know. Whatever. This one has more of a tighter curl texture to it than this one. But both of these draft really, really well. And I can actually spin the spindle and let it drop while I'm drafting this. This one, I have to spin the spindle, hold it in my legs, draft it, because it's harder to pull, because I think it's harder to pull because the fibers are longer. So it's a different spinning experience through each rollag. So this section is definitely more fun than this section. But it's all like a learning process, and I'm really enjoying getting back into it. I watch a whole lot of like other knitting podcasts and crochet podcasts, of course, but what I've been hearing about a lot lately are e-spinners. And those are essentially electronic spinning wheels. And I I kind of want one. I don't think that I specifically want an electronic spinning wheel. I just want a spinning wheel. If it's electronic, great. If it's foot powered, great. I just want a spinning wheel. I just feel like that would be such a like enjoyable fiber experience or fiber craft to like get into. And I think with a spinning wheel, I would have more of like a kind of like a meditative motion with treadling and like drafting and everything. But I feel like I could probably have the same kind of experience with an electronic spinner with the drafting but not having to treadle. I don't know. I don't have either one of these things coming into my life. So it's just gonna be me and my spindle until further notice. But yeah, so that's one of the other works in progress I have. I'm definitely going to use that yarn, that finished yarn, for weaving. However it decides it wants to come together. If it's going to be singles, fine. If it's going to be plied, fine. But it's definitely going to be woven. And I think that's all I have for my works in progress. Yes. So, wow, I feel like I'm just breezing through this. We'll go into maker plans. The first maker plan I have, I've actually started it, so I guess you could call it a work in progress. It might get frogged, but essentially I have come up with a new shawl pattern. And last week I was talking a lot about how I had so much energy and so much motivation to do all the creative things, and I'm so glad that I jumped on that like bandwagon of energy that I was experiencing, because it's definitely leaving the situation now. But while I was so like up on this motivation and like clicking on all cylinders, if you will, I finally put together my design idea for my Cassiopeia shawl. Now, if you're a longtime viewer, you would know that I don't know, I've mentioned it, but I don't know if this is. So I'm doing a shawl collection based on my favorite constellations in the winter sky. So there's Gemini, Cassiopeia, Orion, Canis Major, and Boots the Herdsman. That's the 5. So these constellations are like my 5 favorite constellations, and they're all visible in winter. A lot of them are visible year round in the northern hemisphere, but in the winter it's like they're on show. So Gemini is currently in testing, and Canis Major, Orion, and Boots have not like started their lives yet. And Cassiopeia has been one that I have been reaching for the design for so long. Like, I think it was like last year, either last year, maybe definitely last year. It was last year where I first started sketching ideas for this shawl. So if you don't know, the story of Cassiopeia, the constellation Cassiopeia, well, first, Cassiopeia is the constellation that looks like a W. I will put in a picture so you got like an idea of what it looks like. So the story of Cassiopeia is that she was this beautiful queen. She was a queen of Ethiopia, and she was like super beautiful, but she was also very vain. And like, she was going around one day talking about, I'm beautiful this, I'm beautiful that. And she was also talking about how beautiful her daughter was. And her daughter is Andromeda. So she's like, man, Why am I telling this story like this? I don't know. She's like, man, my daughter is so beautiful. She is even more beautiful than the Nereids of the sea. And the Nereids were the daughters of the god Poseidon. Poseidon heard about this and was like, nah, son, your daughter's not. And basically sends like a sea monster to ravage their coastline. Like, yeah, don't talk about my daughters. So Cassiopeia and the king, his name is Cephas, I think. They go to like a seer and they're like, oh man, what do we do to make this sea monster stop tearing up all of our like coastline? And the seer was like, well, you're gonna have to sacrifice your daughter. So they end up having to go take their daughter, chain her out to sacrifice her to the sea monster. But lucky for her, Andromeda, she doesn't get sacrificed by the sea monster. She gets saved by Perseus, marries him. Everybody lives happily ever after, except for Poseidon is like, I don't think you were punished enough, Cassiopeia. And he decides to put her in the sky as a constellation where she is sitting on a throne, where half of the year she's sitting right side up, the other half of the year she is sitting upside down. And the way that the constellation moves across the sky, at one point she's basically going headfirst into the ocean. Poseidon's a little petty. So there were so many different images that were, like present in the story. You've got this really beautiful queen. You have the fact that she's a queen of Ethiopia. You have everything having to do with the sea and, everything like that. So I'm like trying to figure out what kind of imagery can I evoke to follow the story, like to tell the story of Cassiopeia in this shawl, but not be so contrived, right? And the other day, actually this has been, and a couple weeks ago, I came up with this shape, which it's still the same shape as the Gemini shawl, which is a trapezoid. So Gemini is shaped like this. I will put in a picture because I'm sure that wasn't a good air drawing. But anyway, I thought that shape is a really cool shape. So I was like, well, I can do that for Cassiopeia, but just build the shape in a different way, which is what I'm doing. And the elements of this shawl are going to be a wave stitch, and it's a crocheted shawl. There's going to be a wave stitch, some crochet cables, and a fan stitch. The fan, because whenever you see illustrations of Cassiopeia, like the constellation, she's either holding a fan or a feather in her hand. The wave stitch for, obviously, the water, Poseidon's pettiness. And the cable is inspired by the crosses that you see a lot in traditional Ethiopian dress and their architecture and things like that. They have very ornate crosses. So I took a piece or like an inspiration from one of the crosses that I had seen, and I used it as a basis for the crochet cable. So I'm really excited about how this shawl is coming together. I have 2 rows crocheted of it, and it's huge. So I think what I'm going to do is rip it out, scale it back some, because I love huge shawls, but I don't know if everybody else loves huge shawls. Comment down below. Let me know if you are a huge shawl. Like, when I say huge, I mean it's my wingspan, and my wingspan is about 6 feet. I don't know why I just held out my arms like you could see my like hands, but they're like my middle finger to middle finger is roughly 6 feet. But I think I'm going to scale it back, maybe by a foot. But what I'm kind of excited about with this pattern is that I have essentially created and written out all of what I'm supposed to do to make this pattern. Like, this is the cable idea, and then you can see how I was like working out how the cable is going to look, and this is the shape. Oh, I could have just showed you that. That's the shape. This is the shape that we're going to go for with the shawl. And then I have some other notes. I have some like keywords that I was like pulling inspiration from, just everything like that. And I feel like I know that I'm on the right track with an idea when it just spills out over multiple pages, which is what happened with Gemini and what is currently happening with Cassiopeia. So, hooray for new things. And that's everything. Oh no, that's not everything for Maker Plans. That was just the first thing for Maker Plans. The second thing for Maker Plans is also going to take us into Stashquisitions. So if you watch my podcast, you are probably familiar with Hannah of the Cozy Cottage Crochet. Now, Hannah recently was making, knitting a pair of socks, and it was this really pretty blue yarn, and she always knits shorty socks, and she got, I think she was like halfway through the first sock, and she hated them. Like, I thought she wasn't going to finish them. I thought she was just going to snatch her needles out and be like, nope, nope, nopity, nope, nope, nope. But she persevered, she pressed on, and she finished the socks. I'm so proud of her. And you go, Hannah, you're amazing. But because she hated the yarn so much, she was talking about how she was just not going to do anything with it. So I was like, can I have it? So she is so lovely. So she sent it to me. And here it is. And because she hated the socks so much, and she called them the sock that shall not be named, which then evolved to the Volda socks. So I am going to have a pair of Volda socks as well. So this is what the yarn looks like. And it's like so oceany. Like, you see why why this yarn was just like, oh my gosh, Kalisha, love me. I hope that, what I'm hoping is that I can knit through them super fast and not give them time to be Voldasaki. But this is Barocco socks in the colorway 1453, which I don't know what it is offhand, so I'll put it on the screen. But it was a 100 gram ball. She split it up because she does shorty socks. But so this is a 50 gram ball that's left. And this one, I don't know how much it is. So I'm going to figure out which end goes to which end, magic knot them together, and then knit another tube. I'm going to knit these just like I knit my Felici birthday socks, where I did I do those toe to toe? Yes. Toe to toe, so knit a toe, knit a tube, knit a toe, cut them in half, knit your cuffs, cut in the heels, knit the heels. And that's how they're going to go. Now these are kind of self-patterning, self-striping, so it is going to be very important that I tie them together in the correct way, so that the stripes don't they're going on, and then bounce backwards. I don't want that. I'm excited. I've knit 2 pair of socks out of Barocco socks. I think I've knit 2 pair of socks out of this yarn, and I don't I I don't remember it being particularly splitty. Like, that was Hannah's biggest problem, that it was very splitty for her. But I'm hoping that it won't be splitty. I'm hoping that because we knit socks differently, she knits on 9-inch circulars, I knit magic loop. Maybe that will make a difference. But whatever. I'm going to have a pair of Volda socks. And Hannah used gray, like a solid gray yarn, as her contrast. So I'm going to do the same thing. And we're going to have matching socks. She also sent me this tumbler, and she stuffed the yarn inside it. And is that a mosquito? Ooh, I caught him. I'm a ninja. It's too early in the day for mosquitoes. Let me hurry up. She stuffed all the yarn in here, and then I couldn't get it out because I had just painted my nails. I didn't want to mess them up. So that was kind of a struggle. But as you can see, there's now coffee in the cup and not yarn. Next up on Stashquisitions is yarn from Onyx Fibers. It's just Onyx Fibers? Onyx Fibers? Onyx Fiber Arts. She is a pretty new dyer. I think she's been dyeing for maybe a year and change or so. But she does like amazing tonal solids. She does amazing speckle. Her name is Alegria, and thought it was another mosquito. Her name is Alegria, and she is the dyer behind this gorgeous yarn. This colorway is called Ophelia. It is on her worsted base, which is 181 yards of superwash merino, 100% superwash merino for 80 grams. It says 100 grams. I don't know where my words are, but oh my Lanta, look at that. I don't know 100% what I want to do with this yarn, but since it's a worsted weight, it's probably going to grow up to be a hat of some sort. I am wanting to try like wool yarn hats. I have mentioned before that because the makeup, like the structure of the strands, like the fibers in wool is very close to the structure of the strands of Afro hair, typically they don't play well together. Like this wool will suck moisture from my hair because it's like, hey, share with me, we're the same. Which is why I don't tend to make wool hats. But I think I'm gonna have to make an exception for this because y'all. Ooh, and it matches my dress. Ugh. This is so pretty. Just enjoy that. Enjoy. Yeah, you can just blow out. It's fine. It's fine. So yes, when I opened the bag, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is even more beautiful in real life than it was on the screen. I also forgot that I ordered worsted, so I was just like, oh my gosh, it's so like squishy. But yes, so I have to figure out something like perfect to do with this. The wheels are turning. The wheels are turning. I also, as you can see, I have a little tote bag here. The same day that I got Adria's yarn in the mail, I also got a package from Caroline of Dundernit. Well, Caroline, also known as Dundernit, of the Knitting Vicarious podcast. I've been watching Caroline's podcast. I think she was like maybe 2 or 3 episodes in when I first started watching her. So I'd like to count myself as one of her OG pickles. But yeah, she sent me a surprise package. Well, it wasn't a surprise because she asked for my address, but what was in it was a surprise. And guys, I am the owner of a skein of Countess Ablaze yarn. Like, okay, so Countess Ablaze is one of those dyers that I had heard of, I'd seen her yarn on other people's podcasts, but being in America and she is in the UK, that shipping is kind of like, hi. But so I always just kind of admired her work from afar. And then I was watching Caroline's Edinburgh Yarn Fest vlog, and she vlogged Countess Ablaze's booth, and she vlogged the Countess. And when I tell y'all, the first thing I thought when I saw this woman was, oh my gosh, it is one of Helena Bonham Carter's, like, is that her name? Helena Bonham Carter? Whatever. Y'all know who I'm talking about. She's come to life. Like, it's like the Queen of Hearts from, Alice in Wonderland, the Tim Burton edition. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, she's the Blaze. That's why the name fits. It was just so awesome. So yeah, so I was totally surprised when I saw this bag in there. So I was like, oh, she sent me a tote bag. This is the Countess yarn that I got. It is wool assisted therapy on the Lord Kitchener fingering, which is 55% Blueface Leicester and 45% mulberry silk. It's 4-ply, 100 grams to 400 meters. And I think this is the colorway Yarn Cafe Rebel Batch 2019. So what is this? What is this smuts on my yarn? So this is it. When I pulled it out of the bag, Lamar goes, oh, that's Orlando Magic colors. Yeah, it is. So I'm going to have to find a way to make this to something that I could potentially wear to an Orlando Magic basketball game, just to make the hubby extra happy. But she said that when she saw this colorway, it made her think of like the deep sea and like space and just all of those things that just reminded her of me. And I agree. It is quite spacey and quite sea-y, ocean-y, but I love it. So thank you so much. But that wasn't the only skein that she sent. She also sent this one, and this is Manos del Uruguay in the Alegria colorway, the Alegria base. And the colorway is Manglar. So this one is 75-25 wool and polyamide, approximately 405 meters per 100 grams. And the dyer was Fatima or Fatima, depending on how you pronounce. But look at this. Oh, this matches my dress too. Oh snap, I gotta wear this dress all the time. But I could just put this on a headband and be good. Like, tuck that back and just, like, if it's curved, like, look at me. This is high fashion. So thank you so much, Caroline, for this beautiful gift. I love it. I love them. Now I have to make more things. Like, I need more hands. I think the guy that comes to cut the lawn is here. Yep, we're gonna move this inside. Okay, so the sound is gonna be different, obviously, because now we're inside. And there's gonna be lawn mowing and Tootie barking because there's a stranger in our yard. It's real life, guys. So, where was I? Okay, so I showed you the yarn that Caroline sent me, which I just, thank you. Thank you so much, Caroline. It's so crazy that someone I've never met in real life, who only knows me like through this podcast, through my internet space, would be going on about her daily business and see something that reminded her of me enough to get it and send it to me. Like, that says so much. Like, thank you. But yes, let's finish up the stash position section. The only thing that I have left to show you are some books that I picked up. So yesterday I took a class. Yesterday I took a class at my local library, and in between the classes, I went into the Friends of the Library bookstore, which is basically where people can like donate books and the library will sell them off to raise money for library services. And I always go in there to see what kind of craft books have been donated lately, because a lot of times you'll find like old ones and they're just so charming to me, right? So yesterday was like no exception to that, and I found this baby. This is the Vogue Dictionary of Knitting Stitches by Ann Matthews, and it is from, I think, 1984. Yes, copyright 1984. So this book is 2 years older than me, and I'm down. It has, let's go to the contents. It has basic stitches, simple knit and purl, ribs, textures, drop stitch patterns, eyelet lace, cable and Aran, and 2-color knitting patterns. And let's see if we can find something. Ooh, that one's kind of cool. That and the daisy stitch next to it, that's pretty cool as well. Ooh, that's a cool ribbing. Oh, I like that one too. So there's lots of really cool patterns in here. And what I really appreciate about this is I buy stitch dictionaries like it's nobody's business. If I'm in like a used bookstore or a thrift store and I see a stitch dictionary, more than likely it's going to come home with me. And as someone who has a lot of stitch dictionaries, it's always pleasant to find stitches and patterns in whatever the new book is that I haven't seen before. So thumbs up for that. So there it is again. I got this for $5, which is a little bit much for a used bookstore, but then it's in really good condition, especially for a book that was published in the 80s. And then the other two books that I got these are the other two books that I got. This one, the Young Oxford Book of Astronomy. This was $1.50. and a pocket guide to the night sky, and this was a doll. When I saw both of these on the shelf, I was like, get in my bag, you're coming home with me. So one of the things that I think is really cool about the pocket one is that it goes through, like, it has a section about the stars, and it has, where is it? Like a chart that shows you where the nearest stars to Earth are, or what the nearest stars to Earth are, as well as the brightest stars in the sky. And then it has these star charts, which is pretty cool. So, oh, and here's Cassiopeia. So that's what Cassiopeia looks like. But it's really cool. And because I'm focusing a lot of my design energy and ideas around these constellations, whenever I find books like this, and I can read more about the science of the stars, it kind of gives me more of a foundation to bend that science to creativity, if that makes any sense. It probably doesn't, but it makes sense in my head. So that, I think, is everything for stash positions. I'm about to knock things over in here. Yes, that is everything for stash positions. I don't have a Black Fibers, Black Thread segment this week because I wanted to substitute that for the Weaving Tales poems. So if you don't know, April is National Poetry Month here in the US, and I have taken on the NaPoWriMo Challenge, which is a poem a day, National Poetry Writing Month, NaPoWriMo. And to do a poem a day, I am writing senryus, which are structurally the same as a haiku. So you have syllable counts. The first line of the poem is 5 syllables, the second line is 7, and the third is 5 again. The reason that they're senryus and not haikus is that haikus tend to be more nature-based, or like nature-themed, and these aren't. So last week, I was only up to poem number 4. So I spent some time over the last couple days catching up, and I'm up to poem 15. So instead of reading you poems 5 through 15, I am going to pick 3 of my favorites out of the new ones. And the way that I'm going to be keeping these poems, I'm going to do a highlight on my Instagram profile. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, I'm Nadira Tani over there. And on my profile, there will be a highlight of each one of the poems. All right, so I'm going to pick a couple of my new favorite ones. Some of them are based off of recommendations from the comment section last week, such as number 5. Someone in the comment section said that they would like to see a poem, or they would like to hear a poem about trying to find the center strand in a center pull ball. You know, like when you have to like dig in there and like find it and then pull it out. So I wrote this one. Looking for the end. I've stuck fingers down its throat. Oops, now it's yarn barf. There's just a silly little one of something that I'm sure everyone has experienced. And we have this one. Winding yarn is a required meditation when the world's too loud. That was number 6. Number 7. My hands breathe with yarn, find peace and calm in the strands. My heart sighs therein. And okay, I'll read you 2 more. I'm not going to read all of them. This is number 8. Swatch is a doodle, is a spark, is a puzzle, is an idea. And then number 15, blessed be creators, with common sticks, hooks, and string conjure up brilliance. So yes, I'm up to number 15. So if you want to see the rest of them, check out my Instagram profile. There will be a highlight with, I say highlight like this because it's a little circle thing you click on. Anyway, you know how to use Instagram. But there will be a highlight, probably called something like, oh, Weaving Tales, obviously. I've had too much coffee. But all of the poems will be up there. Yeah. So I am really enjoying this project and can't wait for it to be done. So with that, we will go on into life and whatnot. So as I mentioned earlier, I took a sewing class at my local library yesterday. It was Introduction to the Serger. So there were 2 back-to-back classes. The first one was introducing us to the machine, like all the parts, how it works, blah, blah, blah. And the second one was how to thread the machine. Now, all I have ever heard about sergers is that they are like low-key terrifying and you can never thread them right and it's so frustrating and blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of like the mentality that I went in with. But since I had never had a class, like I never learned how to do anything on the serger. I've only used the serger one time in life. So I was like, let's learn something new. So the class was a lot of fun. It was the same teacher that I've taken the other classes through, Intro to the Sewing Machine so that I could use their stuff, Intro to the Embroidery Machine, and then the Serging classes yesterday. And she's a really good teacher. She's very friendly, personable, like hands-on, and she's a wealth of knowledge about how these different machines and how the equipment works. So it was a really good class. We learned like so quickly. It was a really good class. I learned a whole lot. I now want a serger. Yay. I told Lamar, I was like, babe, I think I want a serger. He was like, I know. But let me show you what I made in class. Do I even have it in here? Oh, I think I put it in here. So we didn't have like a project that we were supposed to do in class. We were just like serging up and down different types of fabric to see like how the various amounts of stretch need to be, like how you need to adjust the settings on the machine to accommodate the amount of stretch in your fabric. So this is my finished project. It's a tube, and the teacher was like, you should have made it bigger, wider, because then you could put something in it. And I was like, I can put something in it. I can put my crochet hook in there. So I made a crochet cozy. Yay me. So yeah, let me show you. So the way that you learn how to thread the machines in this class is they have each thread is color coded to match the colors of the Each thread is color coded to match the colors on the machine for each like needle thread and the upper loopers and the upper looper and the lower looper. So you have a yellow thread, a red thread, a blue thread, and a green thread. And like you learn the thread paths for each one of the colors. So then when you go to like another machine that has like all white thread on it, you kind of know where each one of those threads needs to go. So, and then because they're all different colors, you can see the different places where each one goes. So the green that you see here is the upper looper, the blue is the lower looper, the red is the right hand, the red is the right hand needle, and you can barely see the yellow right there. That's the left needle. So yeah, I serged the thing. And in true Kalisha form, after the class was over, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to take these new skills that I have acquired and serge something that I'm going to wear. And that's where this dress came in. So since the pieces were already cut, it was a very easy project to start on. Just put that away. It was a very easy project to start on. So all I had to do was pin it together. And then, actually, I didn't even pin it. I just held the pieces together and sent it through the serger. Also, because I had trimmed this down, I no longer had like exact seam allowances. So essentially I put it through the serger with like just letting the littlest sliver get cut off by the blades inside the serger. And so I serged, can you see that? Oh, that's bright. So I serged the side seams and the shoulder seams. And I left the tails on so I could show you. But there's my serged. I serged an outfit, guys. I'm so proud of myself. So now I'm going to go ahead and trim those ends off. And this dress is all done. I did the facing with my regular sewing machine. And at first I was thinking like about going around the raw edges with the serger while I was in the open lab sewing, and then folding that serged edge over and stitching it down, which I'm sure that's a thing that I could have done, but I didn't. I ran out of time because I had to leave early to pick Lamar up from work. But yeah, I'm glad that I went ahead and did the serging class, because originally I wasn't going to do that class because I was like, I don't really need to know how to use a serger. But now I'm just like, serge all the things. All of the things must be serged. That's it. So one of the things I like about the class is when you take a class over at the library, you have your, let me see, let me get all my paperwork together. You get handouts with the information, vocabulary, parts of the serger, how to use the differential feed, everything like that. And then this is the paperwork that I got for the second class. Threading the serger. So these are different types of stitches that the serger can do. I'm not doing all this fanciness. Nope, just regular stitch is fine for me. And then you have like the diagrams of how this particular machine is threaded. Now, one of the funny things that happened to me is that the machine that I sat at evidently is a little bit temperamental, and the yellow thread kept breaking. Like in the first class, it broke like 6 or 7 times, and my teacher only rethreaded it the first time. The second time it broke, she was like, oh, you saw what I did, go ahead and rethread it. So I rethreaded the one. So by the time we got to how to thread a machine, I was 25% there. But yeah, it was definitely not as hard as I thought it was going to be. I really enjoyed the class. And once you take the intro classes to the equipment that they have in the sewing lab, you can go in that lab whenever they have open sewing time and use any of it. So now I have taken all of the intro classes for all of the equipment that they offer in the sewing lab. So I can just go in there whenever they have an open time and I can use everything, which has essentially opened up the world of things to make and do, which I'm really excited about. I also have my certificate of completion. So I am like legit, guys. I'm certified to use a serger. So, I also did the orientation for the media labs at the library. Like, there are so many things that are available to library card holders for free at my local library that I am like astonished that I never took the time to really look into seeing all these things that are available to me from the library. It's not just books and DVDs and CDs, right? Like, you can learn a lot of skills. So when I did the orientation for the media center, now, which the orientation was only like 15 minutes long. And once you sign up, you do the orientation, you go in, you basically let them take your picture, you get the rules, and then you can sign up to use all of this technology that they have. There is a like photo studio, there are editing bays, there are audio, like audio production, video production, green screens, like anything that you want to do is at that library. And it's like mind-boggling. So the next thing that I am super excited to figure out when I can take classes is the makerspace. And in the makerspace, they have 3D printers, they have not wood burning, like laser etchings for wood and stuff like that. And you can take classes to learn how to use this equipment. And I was just like, this is amazing. Like, I've always thought about, like, I've seen people do things like, say, the wooden sock blockers, right? That are like cut out with lasers. But I've seen things like that and I'm like, man, that's so cool. But you know, you have to get that equipment, you have to learn how to use it, da da da. It must be like a real financial like undertaking. But I'm pretty sure that I could make something like that at my local library once I learn how to use the materials and the equipment. So I'm really, really excited to try out new things, especially new skills that I've never done, like wood burning. Customary leaf blower. Okay. So I'm really excited to try my hand at like brand new skills like 3D printing and laser wood cutting and like all of these things. So yeah, I definitely encourage you to check out your local library. See if your library offers different classes, because I know a lot of times libraries will do things like rewrite your resume, learn Microsoft Word, learn Microsoft Office, you know, just basic stuff like that. Quiet. No. Basic stuff like that. And but they might have like different things, so definitely check it out. So yes, and also if you are in like the Central Florida area, and or not even Central Florida, yes, Central Florida, because you can take a part in these classes and things as a community member. You don't necessarily have to be a library card holder in Orange County. Of course, like things are like for non-card holders, there's like a small fee for using like the different equipment and stuff, but for card holders, most of these things are free. But if you're not a card holder, you can still take advantage of the things that are provided by the Orange County Public Library. So check that out. I feel like that was a PSA for using your library. But yes, the only other thing like in life and whatnot, earlier I had mentioned that I was like super excited that I had taken advantage of all of that not positive energy I had, but all of that motivation that I had, because it's definitely running out. Like today was one of those days where I got up and I just didn't feel like being up. Like, not that I was tired, but I just didn't want to be out of the bed. I didn't really have motivation to do much of anything. And I kept telling myself, like, just write your podcast notes. You know, just do this one thing. Just put together the things that you would need to talk about on your podcast. Just work on this design idea. Just work on like a couple lines of it. Just, take a shower. Just, like little things just to keep myself going. It's definitely a low energy kind of day, but that's okay. It happens. And I feel like because I was so appreciative and I was a good steward of that motivational energy that I had, having this down day is not, it's not essentially like hurting me productivity wise. So that's definitely a good thing. And I haven't been super down. It's just been a lower energy day. Which is fine. It happens. But I'm going to go ahead and end the podcast here. So that is everything that I have for you guys this week. Leave a comment down below of something positive that happened to you this week or this month or what have you. If you want it to be shared during our Bright Spots segment, just let me know that it's a shareable moment. You can also share those positive moments over on our Ravelry group in the Positive Moments thread. There's a link to it down below. But yeah, that's everything. Thank you so much for being a part of my universe. Thank you for spending some time with me today. I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, weekend. Yeah. Bye, guys.